One of the nicest things about New Year's Day, or actually it happens on the day before, for me, is you get to take that old calendar and trash it. Beautiful feeling. To be able to hang up a fresh new calendar on the wall or on the refrigerator, even if the calendar you keep is on your laptop or your iPhone, it's still a new beginning. We get to discard the old year with all of its birthdays and dinners and doctor appointments, meetings, and more. There were things on that old calendar that were fulfilled, and there were probably some things that were never fulfilled. But on New Year's Day, we get to chuck it into the recyclable bin and start a fresh one that is hopefully pretty clean. But isn't it true that the new calendar will fill up over time with the same old stuff? Birthdays are repeated, doctor appointments continue, etc. And it isn't too long into the new year that we begin to realize that for most of us, life continues as it was before. It doesn't have to be that way, however. But I think many of us may attempt to bring in the new year by doing things a little differently. At least we make those promises to ourselves. That may last a week or two before we settle into the old routine. We think to ourselves, if only something profound and exciting would come into my life. Something to shake things up a bit. We need something to hope for in the new year. Something that will make things a bit different for us. We may not know what those things are, but we long for something usually that is new and meaningful. After all, it is a new year. Think about the Magi who make their appearance in the Christmas story on this Feast of Epiphany. Magi, were not kings, as they're often portrayed. They were astrologers, stargazers, probably from Persia. They spent their lives looking at the heavens, charting the stars. But as you might imagine, even that could get old at a certain point. So like us, the Magi lived to see something new. They kept an eye open for something that might be different, something that would make life and their work a little more meaningful, perhaps. And for stargazers, their hope would be to discover something new in the heavens, a comet, a planet, a new light that wasn't there before. And that is what happened according to the story of Epiphany. We're told that they noticed a new star at its rising. We don't know exactly what it is they saw, a comet, a supernova, or something miraculous, but it got their attention. Now, they could have noted this in their records and looked at it for a while and they said, okay, let's get back to work. But they didn't do that. What piqued their interest in this new light is that they also knew about the Jewish prophecies regarding the coming of a king, the birth of a king. And in particular, they would have probably been familiar with the writings of the prophet Micah, who wrote the following: "But you, O Bethlehem, who are too little to be among the clans of Judah, from you shall come forth for me one who is to be ruler in Israel, whose coming forth is from of old, from ancient days." So with this prophecy in mind, and with the occurrence of something new in the heavens, the Magi were well enough informed to make a decision that this was worth following up on. They decided to take a journey. They interrupted their routine. They decided to travel and to follow this light, to find where the newborn Messiah of the Jews was. And as we hear in the story, the light led them to Jerusalem, where they inquired about the whereabouts, the exact location of the Messiah. After King Herod determined from his priests and scribes that Bethlehem was the prophesied place, he sent the Magi forward to Bethlehem to find this newborn king. And that is what they did. They followed the star, the light somehow came to Bethlehem, and we're told that when they entered this place, they saw the child with his mother, and they were filled with joy at their discovery. Then they presented gifts that speak about the identity of the child. They worship him, and they return home by another way in order to avoid the scheming of King Herod. Do you think that life was the same for these magi after this epiphany, this discovery, this revelation of God to them in the person of the child? Probably not. In fact, if you read some of the non-biblical writings and testimonies from the church fathers from the 5th and 6th centuries, these magi were eventually given names, and they're considered saints in some churches. It was said, according to tradition, that they were eventually baptized by St. Thomas the Apostle as he made his way across the east, and that they became evangelizers of the gospel. Of course, we can't know for certain about these things and what kind of lives they lived after their epiphany in Bethlehem, but we can assume that things were not quite the same for them. So this leads us really to consider where we are in life and what our lives are about. Isn't it true that we have epiphanies all the time? God is acting in our world in profound ways. He is continually offering us glimpses of new things, meaningful things, opportunities that can change us for the better. But we have to want to see what God is doing in the world. We have to take notice of the opportunities there are to learn and do something new. We have to be alert to the signs of the times, and we have to act upon those signs. You know, so often when I talk to people, and maybe you greet people, we have this phrase, "What's new with you?" 9 times out of 10, they'll say, "Nothing new, same old thing." That's kind of a sad thing. Life doesn't have to be routine, and it doesn't have to simply be a repeat of the day or the year before. But I think because we become complacent with the way things are, that's the way it is. We complain about the same old things year after year. Finances, relationships, work, boredom, the state of the world, our government, and then we leave it at that. And even if we are introduced to something new or an opportunity to do something about the things about which we complain, we shy away from pursuing it. Why? Maybe we fear having to make changes in our routine. After all, it's more comfortable living with the things we know than pursuing the things that we don't know. And I think that could be a trap which prevents a whole lot of people from growing spiritually, emotionally, and even socially. God offers us a new light on the horizon, but we turn away from it because we prefer something that is familiar. Think about what would not have happened if the Magi decided that it just wasn't worth the effort to follow this new light. They would never have discovered the Christ child. But as it is, they took a risk. They took a journey of faith, and it paid off big time for them. So maybe in this new year, as it continues to unfold, we can make some changes that will lead us to discover ourselves in a new way. First, we have to watch for epiphanies, revelations that God shares with us in everyday life. Epiphanies are happening all around us. Maybe you've had one. I know some people think it's something maybe kind of sacrilegious to ask God for a sign, but I think God does provide those things on occasion. So you have to train yourself to look for those God moments, those little epiphanies. Think of how your life will change when you begin looking for and recognizing God's activity all around you. The second thing we can do is be ready to act on those epiphanies when we see them, especially if God may be inviting you to step out in faith and to do something new or different. You know, it doesn't have to be on a grand scale like I'm quitting my job and becoming a missionary. No. It could be something small yet meaningful, like doing something for the poor for the first time. or getting involved in a Bible study, or spending more time with family and friends. The amazing thing is that when we start paying attention to these epiphanies around us and we act upon them in some way, we become new people. We find new energy, new meaning, and even a new purpose in life. And if you're frightened about acting on an epiphany, you just take some time to pray for guidance and insight. If the epiphany is truly from God, then you will find that the decision to act is a good one for you and for other people. So today, as we remember how the Magi saw a new light in the heavens and followed that light, which introduced them to the Christ child, we are marveled at what kind of epiphany that must have been for these people. But the fact is, again, our world is full of epiphanies. God showing his face to us, sometimes in extraordinary ways, but usually in very sublime ways. It could be a new star in the heavens. It could be the birth of a child. Whatever it is, we can commit ourselves this year to be attentive. And let's commit this year also to act when called upon. Because ultimately, that's how the kingdom of God breaks into the world, little by little. And in the end, our calendars and our lives will never look the same.